like no reviews of this show on YouTube. Solar Opposites came out a few years ago. Justin Roiland was involved, and it sort of seemed like maybe it's like a spin-off of Rick and Morty, or could exist in one of their many universes, just because the animation looked the same. A lot of the jokes are very similar. But I gotta say, now that I am 3 seasons in, and I liked Rick and Morty a lot, but I think I like Solar Opposites even more.
Boo this man!
I don't want this video to turn into a comparison of Solar Opposites and Rick and Morty, because that's not what this is. This is mostly just me reviewing season 3, talking about how amazing it was. But there was one really specific thing I want to talk about between these two shows, and that is the fact that Dan Harmon, as much as I love his storytelling style in Rick and Morty, him not being involved in Solar Opposites, I think is the best thing that could have happened to this show. Primarily, that's because in season 3 of Solar Opposites, it feels like they have gone completely off the rails, to the point where they are using the Solar Opposites main cast a lot of times as just a vehicle to expand upon one of the greatest side stories slash main stories I've seen in an animated show, and that is a story about the Wall. One of the things that makes the storyline of the Wall so interesting is that it's really similar to a lot of the darker, more serious stories they had told in Rick and Morty that they proceeded to either never go back to, or only go back to like once a few years later, most notably Evil Morty. I don't want this video to turn into a comparison of Solar Opposites and Rick and Morty, because that's not what this is. Who was one of the coolest storylines they had created, and then they proceeded to just not go back and reference it, and then they sort of did, but there's been so many times in between that it just doesn't feel as special, even though it's a really cool storyline. Solar Opposites, on the other hand, from the beginning of season 1, which I gotta say, first of all, I am curious if this storyline of the Wall was ever as planned out as it's turned into now, because originally this seemed like a throwaway thing where 2 of the characters shrunk these people down and kept them in this wall in their room, but it's now turned into maybe one of the most compelling storylines on a show, especially for a storyline that was supposed to be like a B or a C story. It is the show. Solar Opposites works on a lot of levels, one of which is because it's just really well written and incredibly well made. So it's very high quality, and a lot of the stuff on the show works without the Wall. Like, there are so many storylines that are great in season 3. One episode where the characters are just standing in line the whole time, it works so much better than it should. A lot of the times they are taking these characters, they're giving them something to do, and then they're going and doing like a full episode committed to the Wall, which I just am so invested in this storyline at this point, which is crazy, because when this storyline first started, I thought, oh, this is Rick and Morty type of thing where they're gonna, plant these seeds, but then they'll probably never go back to it, they'll just throw it out. It's like, no, they're actually turning Solar Opposites into the Wall. I just want to see what happens in that part of the show. I think that's another main reason why the show works, is that the Solar Opposites don't really have a storyline. Like on Rick and Morty, the entire family. I don't want this video to turn into a comparison of Solar Opposites and Rick and Morty, because that's not what this is. But on Rick and Morty, the entire family has their own like interweaving storylines. And on Solar Opposites, they sort of started with a storyline about the pupa terraforming Earth, but they don't really go back to that often. And at this point, it's just becoming a show about the Wall, which I'm totally okay with, because I think that storyline is fantastic. One of the interesting things about this show, though, despite how well it's made and how well it's written, and it's super funny, and the Wall storyline is iconic, there are like no reviews of this show on YouTube. I mean, not from any of like the big YouTubers that we all watch, Chris Stuckman, Jeremy Jans, all those kinds of, million subscribers and all that, which is, look, I get that those guys do like the more popular stuff, but this is a phenomenal show. Solar Opposites is one of the best shows on Hulu. I look forward to it so much, and like sitting through season 3, and I'm seeing the crazy quality that this show is capable of, and I'm just like, why is this, like Big Mouth, for example, right? Big Mouth, fantastic show. But Solar Opposites has like been flying under the radar for 3 seasons now. And it's a show that it seems like they could just go on kind of forever. It's a show that feels like it's giving Justin Roiland a vehicle to be as insane as he wants to be, with some of the most out of left field storylines that I've ever seen in a show like this. And it's just a lot of fun. But aside from it being a lot of fun, it's also really good. So you feel like you're being rewarded because you're getting a fun experience, a very watchable show, a very rewatchable show. At the same time, you're getting some crazy high quality with storylines that are just insane. So this is my pitch to anyone who has not seen Solar Opposites yet. You have got to give this show a chance. It is one of the best shows on Hulu. It's one of the best animated shows to come around in a long time. It is so well done, and I cannot wait for season 4.